Hello everyone, Andrew here, and in today's video, I thought that it would be fun to take a look at some of the things in my video game room that people don't normally see. I have a friend who every time he comes over, he kind of points out that he wishes I had more video game posters up. Because it's kind of true that a lot of video game rooms you see they have like the cool Nintendo Power posters that you rip out and hang up on the wall, and other video game related posters, but I unfortunately don't have too much of that. Although of course the main reason is because everywhere you look there's kind of shelves along the wall. So I don't really have too many places to put up posters, but to make up for that, one thing that I actually do is I decorate the ceiling. So that's something that, even in my room tour, there wasn't really too much kind of a look at some of the really cool things that I have hanging from the ceiling. I have kind of like video game promotional art things hanging from the ceiling, I have controllers hanging from the ceiling, box games hanging from the ceiling, so I thought that since it's not something that people normally see, even people who come over to my house, usually they're so busy like looking at the cabinets and stuff that they don't even think to look up and see some of the things that I have up there. I thought that it would be fun to make a video kind of just showing some of the things that you might not see unless you look up, because these are things that probably haven't really been shown much, and even in my whole room tour, not too much attention was really given to things that you have to look at the ceiling to see. So I thought it would be a fun video to make. So I'm going to grab the camera off of the tripod, and we are going to take a look at all of the displays that I have on the ceiling. So let's get to that. Alright, so here we are. So I'm going to try carrying the camera around the room. I'll do my best to do it. Hopefully it doesn't get too shaky. But yes, so what we're going to be focusing on is the ceiling, and hopefully the fluorescent lights do not get in the way too much. But as you can see, there I have a whole bunch of things hanging up there, which we'll of course get back to. I'm not going to go by them that quickly. But the first thing I kind of want to show is the few posters that I actually do have, as I was talking about posters a little bit. If you look at the TV here, where I usually sit, there are a few posters behind it, and I really like these things. Nintendo usually comes out with these for their games. These aren't like your typical posters. They're not like stuck to the wall. They're not even taped to the wall. They actually stick to the wall just with static, so you can kind of move them up and down or wherever you want, and they don't actually ever stick to the wall, which is really cool. Sometimes they do start to peel off at points, although you can always just stick them back on, and I really like them. So there's a new Super Mario Bros. 2 one. I have a Pokemon Black and White one. Nintendo 3DS one, which someone for some reason had the right that it's now $169.99 on it. With that, I have this Gamer's Choice things, which has characters from a whole bunch of different games on various consoles. That was from a store called Rogers Video, which is a video rental store, although like most video rental stores, it is now out of business now. I have my AVGN autograph. Of course, I have to have a clock somewhere in the game room, so a Pokemon clock makes a lot of sense. This poster right here is actually very interesting, this kind of hot new price one. When I was a kid, I was at a store, and they had this poster up, but they were taking it down, so my parents asked, like, oh, are you just going to throw it out? If so, like, my son would love to have it. So then they gave it to me, and yeah, I've had it ever since. Of course, it wasn't always hanging up, so it is a bit beat up, although overall, it is kind of a cool poster. It's kind of funny. I've always thought that they're player's choice, but they're still $50, because usually these days we think when something's player's choice, they're like greatest hits. It should only be like $20, but back then, video games were sometimes more expensive than even today, which is kind of funny if you look through old gaming magazines. Here we have Donkey Kong Country Returns. Interesting that they actually announced like a pretty much I think it's supposed to be like a direct port of Donkey Kong Country Returns to the 3DS. I would have rather seen a new game, but interesting nonetheless. And of course, Kid Icarus Uprising, another 3DS game. I like how that one, it's actually not perfectly square. His wings and the gun there kind of come out the sides of the poster. I've always really liked that. And we'll see other things like that too, where sometimes the shapes of things differentiate a bit because of different things that are on the promotional items. So I've always thought that these posters are really cool. And there is still a little bit of Space Gear. I've obviously been hoping to maybe get some more someday that I can place there, which would be really neat. So if we look up now if we actually go to the ceiling like we had originally planned, you will see I have stuff hanging all along everywhere. The first thing right there is a PS2 modem still in the original package, which I've always thought is really cool, because you don't see a super massive amount of PS2 modems. Here we have some keychains, and like, they're not Pez, but they're like bootleg Pez dispensers of Super Mario characters, or Link and Donkey Kong, and even a Wii one too, full of candy. Here, I'm hoping the light does not get too much in the way, but I'll try to get the best angle on things as I possibly can. And here we have a Super Mario Kart LCD wristwatch for Yoshi. I think if you look at the back, it shows some other characters out there weird too, but this Yoshi one is the only one that I have ever seen, and it's very cool that is still complete in the packaging. If you look along the top of the shelves, there are a whole bunch of box things, which you don't normally see, because who really looks up there? My Mega Man Legends figures. I love Mega Man Legends. I was so disappointed when the third one was cancelled. A whole bunch of different box things, like bongo drums, Donkey Kong in the box, some Super Nintendos, and some other consoles up there, but we'll look at those more as we move down along the room. But the next thing we're actually going to look at is kind of my controller display. So if you look way up, trying to get the best angle I possibly can here, you will see that I have some controllers lined up all of the way down the room, and it's not perfectly chronological. I mean, there's a few kind of discrepancies, but it's kind of just the video game controller timeline, so it's not necessarily by date, but it's kind of organized by generation. So there might be a few controllers out of order chronologically, but overall it gets the point across. I'm really hoping that this turns out well. We have the Atari 2600. We have a Gemini, which is another version of the Atari 2600, which I like this controller much more than just the normal Atari 2600 controller, so I had to hang one of those up. The always awesome, or not, Atari 5200 controller, the NES controller, the NES Max. This one here kind of turned the wrong way. Hopefully it's turning out well on the camera. This one is the Sega Master System, followed by the next generation, the 16-bit era, so that would be Super Nintendo there, and the Super Famicom. I had a controller, an extra one of those to hang up. The first model of the Genesis controller. Let's see if I can get to the next one here. Hoping that they're all turning out well. Actually, let me adjust something for 1 second just to make it a little bit better. Alright, let's hope this turns out a bit better. I'm trying to get a bit more of a downward angle on it, so hopefully they'll turn out a bit more not so dark, although we'll probably try to go through them a bit quicker just so that it's not too bad. Anyway, for the Virtual Boy controller, it's pretty crazy. I've always thought it looks a lot like the Gamecube controller. Virtual Boy controller is not too bad to use, actually. It is weird though, it has the two D-pads. Of course, there needs to be a TurboGrafx controller up there. There we have the Neo Geo CD controller. It's a very cool controller. Here we have the Panasonic 3DO controller. Then, Nintendo 64. Followed by Sega Saturn, the first model of the Sega Saturn controller. And now I just need to come down here for a second as we move around because the foosball table is in the way at the moment. So unfortunately I cannot get around that anyway. So we have the first model of the Saturn controller. And then here we have the second model, although this is the Japanese version. Because the Japanese had a white version of the Sega Saturn, which is very cool. I actually have that in my cabinet, but I had an extra controller, so I hung it up there. Here we have the Knights Sega Saturn controller, which is pretty neat. Here we have the first model of the original PlayStation controller without the thumbsticks. And then, of course, later they added in the thumbsticks, and I put up a cool, clear blue/purple one that I thought it looked pretty neat. Here we have a Sega Saturn controller. I believe it's the European one because the swirl on it is blue, as I believe it was in Europe. In North America, it's usually red. Here we have an original Xbox controller, followed by a PlayStation 2 controller, and followed by a Nintendo GameCube controller, and a Wii Nunchuck. Unfortunately, I could not hang up a normal Wii remote because there's no kind of cord to hang it around with. Well, I guess I could have hung it by the wrist strap, although that wouldn't have looked super cool. But yeah, I just kind of did a neat controller stuff here. Of course, it looks a little bit better when the camera's not being wrecked because of the light behind it. Hopefully that turned out well. But yeah, it's convenient, especially like if someone comes over and we want to play a 2-player Super Nintendo game. Just grab the one from the ceiling and put it back when we're done. It's pretty cool, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it turned out well. So yeah, that is my controller setup. Although moving along, you can see there's some more box things up here now than were there before. Different versions of things. So like all three of these Genesis boxes are not the same. They all have different pack-in games and things like that. There is my Sega Mega Drive European version in the box. Half-Life hat. And some other things up here, like this Zelda thing, which is kind of interesting. This is actually a magnet, so as you can see here, there is a magnet on the back, and it sticks right here. So that is where I leave it. It looks pretty cool. There we have some different versions of the NES in the box. Of course, we have my World of Nintendo cabinet here, although I don't think I really need to go over this too much. I went into a pretty deep depth of this. I believe in my second part of my big room tour. But moving along the ceiling, to the right, if you look directly up, and these things aren't hanging from the ceiling, but I have a lot of kind of these promotional, I don't really know what you call them, signs that stores will sometimes put up. And I really like these things, like Little Big Planet, Mass Effect 3, of course some from all the different consoles, like we have some Nintendo ones there. Let me see, that would be going at them upside down. So if we go back to the other side of the room, we might be able to get a better look at them as we walk the other way. So let's see, actually, this one will probably be right side up now. Nope. Okay, so if we go to the very end, turn around, and now we look up, we will see Paper Mario Sticker Star one. This is what I was talking about earlier, just like on the Icarus poster. I like how the 3DS XL kind of actually sticks out a bit, so it's not, it kind of deviates from just the round edge like most of them have. Here, it's kind of the same deal with the HD TV. On the advertisement for the Wii U, and these fit perfectly into my ceiling. You kind of just stick them along where kind of the ceiling tiles meet, and I've always really liked that. I think it looks really neat when you look up and see them. Here, kind of have a GameCube thing. To the left, we have an advertisement for Epic Mickey 2. Moving down, I actually got these two things from Fan Expo, which is kind of funny. I don't know why. There was just a table handing out some random sticks with Star Wars characters' heads on them, so I took them and put them in the ceiling for whatever reason. Moving on down, we have Kirby's 20th anniversary collection. Really neat kind of advertisement for that. It's not the same shape as the other ones, it's just kind of a rectangle. I really like that one. To the left here, we have another advertisement for Epic Mickey 2. I believe it's a bit different than the other one. If I look back at it, I believe it's this one's a little bit different. This one to the right here, Pokemon White 2, an advertisement for that, and if we continue to move down, we have some Wii games at a new low price, and Little Big Planet 2 and Mass Effect 3 like we saw earlier. So I really like hanging these things from my ceiling too, and there are some more in the other room, which I will show later on, some more Mario ones and some other really cool games. To the right of that, we have some Gameboy Colors, and they are really cool. I hang them with paper clips on kind of where the wrist strap is supposed to go in, and there's kind of a pattern going along here. It starts with the turquoise one, it goes yellow, purple, green, Pokemon, clear purple, and then turquoise, yellow, purple, green, and then Pokemon again. Some of these, the reason there's doubles is some of them the speakers don't work, so instead of just getting rid of them, it looks really cool to kind of hang them from the ceiling. I don't know why the Game Boy Color had so many problems with the speakers, as I have actually found quite a few where the sound does not work. But yeah, overall, I hung those from the ceiling. I thought it looked pretty neat, and that is above some NES box games and my Super Nintendo games, which is pretty cool. Here, to the right, we have my Mario and Luigi pillows there. We have a poster advertisement for New Super Mario Brothers, which I always have on the wall there. And now we are getting into a whole bunch of kind of in plastic protective cases accessories. Because back in the day, accessories used to come in boxes. Although eventually, around the Gamecube time, they started just putting them in plastic that was a pain to open because you get the scissors out and it's still really hard to open. And but they always had hooks on them, so I hang those up along the ceiling here. So as you can see, like this one right here, this is just kind of a Game Boy Advance accessory kit. There we have a Wii controller kind of accessory thing, Media Manager for the Wii. We have a GameStop thing, and it's kind of a clever Wii-shaped tin for you to put a gift card in, I guess, if you're giving to someone. Here, they got this from Blockbuster when they were closing down, is a Nintendo DS headset, complete, still sealed in the box. Of course, all of this stuff is still sealed in the original packaging. Some Nintendo DS accessories, a Game Boy Advance to Nintendo GameCube link cable, which I always thought was really cool. Nintendo GameCube modem, still complete in the package. Never seen anyone actually use one of those. I'd like to get like 4 loose ones and try it out for myself. And we have a Dreamcast box kind of in the way here. On the other side of that, we have a thing that will let you plug your GameCube into a TV that does not have the red, yellow, white kind of inputs. Sealed GameCube memory card. Worm lights. Everyone used to have a worm light for their Game Boys. It would always suck. You'd go for like a drive or something like that, and by the time you left wherever you were at, it was nighttime, so you always need one of those worm lights to help you out. And there's of course a Game Boy Advance one too. This is a really weird accessory for your Game Boy Advance, where you attach it and you can play racing games. It's like a wheel. It makes, so I guess it's supposed to make the driving games more authentic. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Here we have an unofficial Game Boy Advance to Gamecube link cable. So I have that. We have a third-party Game Boy Advance link cable, which is really good because I found the first-party Game Boy Advance link cable to be way too short, so it was really good to have third-party ones, which added a bit of extra length to it. Here we have some Game Boy Color link cables in the original packaging. It's not a worm light, it's a Cobra light, a very interesting light for sure. So here to the right of that, we have Tails and Knuckles figure. I've seen places selling these for quite a bit more than I usually pay for one figure, although I remember one time a thrift store actually did have quite a few of these donated, so I bought one of each of them. Unfortunately, there was no Sonic, but Tails and Knuckles are very cool. To the right of that, we have some e-reader cards still in the original package. I have all of these kind of NES games converted into e-reader cards. I believe there was 12 different games, maybe? It's just a really random number off the top of my head. I haven't really thought about that in a long time, how many there are. But these are the ones that I still have in the original packaging. Tennis, baseball, and Excitebike, which is pretty neat. These are the same kind of case as those Sonic figures, where I found these at a thrift store, so I picked them up. They each have a little bit of damage at the top, unfortunately, because I guess maybe that was why they were donated, but still, they're very cool to have. This is a Nintendo 64 keychain. It has a light in it, although unfortunately I don't believe it works anymore. I'm not actually 100% sure, although still, it's kind of a neat keychain to have. Here, almost like the watch, except this is a keychain in Super Mario from Super Mario Kart. A Mega Man X keychain. I'm pretty sure that someone made this in like their basement, but still, it's pretty neat. These Super Mario Brothers 2 shoe things, I'm not entirely sure what they are. I remember my parents bought these actually for me, so it's not like I found this at a thrift store. My parents bought these when I was really young, and I never understood what they are, so I kind of threw them into the closet, and they kind of stayed there for a long time until I made my video game room. I'm like, hey, that would look pretty cool hanging up, so here they are. Maybe it's a good thing I never opened them, because I don't know exactly how rare they would be these days. Anyway, beside that, we have more Game Boy accessories, and some more Game Boy accessories, because everyone's always wanted to have a carrying case that looks like a GameCube for some reason. A couple more accessories, the power pack, of course, because who likes to waste all of their AA batteries playing Game Boy? I actually never really minded it. I kind of almost prefer it to having to charge it in a wall. That way, in case you're out and your battery dies, at least you could plug it in. Or at least you could change the batteries on the spot and not have to wait till you got home to plug it in. Here's a PlayStation 2 mouse, which is pretty cool. I don't have any game to use it with, so I've never opened it. I'm not entirely sure how many games actually need a mouse to go along with them. And then some crazy controllers like the SmackDown controller. I wonder if it actually makes you better at wrestling games. A charge cord I bought for my PlayStation 3. They were like 50 cents a piece. Walmart was just unloading them, so I bought that and hung it up. Although I actually did need an extra one, so I believe that's just an empty box. And a silver iToy complete in the box. I might have a black one sealed, so I never really needed to open up the silver one here. To the right of that, we have my Miracle Piano. Many people might not know, but I actually do have the Miracle Piano for the NES. I definitely do need to make a video on that someday. Unfortunately, it's way up there where not too many people will see it. That's kind of the best place for it. It takes up a lot of space, and it just kind of fits perfectly up here. Especially since the ceiling kind of dips down there, so it works out really well. I have a big box, Connect Disneyland game. I really like big boxes, big promotional boxes like that. And also, to the right of that, a sealed Pokemon camera, never opened, which is pretty cool. What we are going to do now is we are going to move on to the other room and just take a quick look at what we have in there. Of course, we have some Mario characters and stuff up here. I've always wanted to kind of find a better spot for them. Well, unfortunately, I haven't. And the bomb there, Ba-Bomb, which is pretty cool. So this room here, there's not too much light, so hopefully it turns out well. On the shelf above where I have my Super Nintendo collection, I don't know if I pointed this out really in my room tour, is a whole bunch of weird things. We have some books, usually like old video game books I read through every now and then. Some Super Nintendo games. I'm in the process of kind of redoing my Super Nintendo shelf. I have a lot of Super Nintendo games that I can't put away because my area where I used to put them is full, so I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with that. Although we have, like I said, some old computer stuff. So we have like an Atari tape player there, an old Timex computer, some Atari EX games, Atari Flashback, arcade games for the computer. The reason I bought that set is because it actually has Mega Man 3 for the PC in it, which is really bizarre. Definitely not an easy game to come by, so that's why I bought that. I was like, it didn't really work well on my computer since it's an old game and my computer's kind of new, but maybe I'll have to try and find some way to get it to work someday. Some random Mac games, Mac OS 8, and some random programs for Mac. Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I bought new for like 40 bucks back in the day. Roller Coaster Tycoon is an awesome game. And some random controllers for some old consoles. Right here is a really blank wall with a poster with some signs on it from when I was like 1 year old. This is a wall I've always considered putting some posters up on, although I think I might get another shelf like this and put it on this wall. So that's why I haven't really bothered putting any posters up here, because I would just have to take them down someday anyway. But that is something that I might end up doing at some point in the future. Moving on to the last room now. If we look up at the ceiling, we will see a giant bottle of Coca-Cola. My drink of choice while playing video games, of course. So I hung that from the ceiling. If you look up there to the right, we see a preview of something I will probably talk about in another video at some point. Kind of up the stairs there, it's really bizarre. Lots of PlayStation 2 games. Still working on that though, so I'll make a video about that someday. If we look up, we can see some more things kind of hanging along the ceiling. Including, of course, some Wii accessories. What is that one supposed to be, like a frying pan for when you're playing Cooking Mama? It is a cooking kit. Wow, that's really bizarre. I can't really read everything while I'm pointing at it with the camera. I forget where certain things are. I know I have some Wii Sports stuff and some Wii Cooking stuff, although I don't remember exactly where I hung them all. Here we have some miniature arcade machines, such as Super Breakout, Asteroids, and Centipede, still in the package. Here we have the Pura Pura pack for the Dreamcast, also known as the Rumble Pack in English-speaking countries. We have a really weird Twinkie guy. I remember after Twinkies announced that they weren't going to be made by Hostess anymore, I found this somewhere, so I'm like, hey, what the heck, I'll buy it, just in case it's like super rare someday. So I picked that up. And here we have some random Mario Kart and Mario characters, which I think I picked up from like Dollarama at one point. For some reason. Here we have a toy from Mega Man NT Warrior, an anime which I actually have watched all of. A very interesting anime. I love the Mega Man Battle Network series, so of course I enjoyed the anime of it. A PlayStation 2 stand. One of those Talking Simpsons characters. I actually have quite a few of these not in the package and put away somewhere. Charger. And a whole bunch of really random stuffed animals that I just hung from the ceiling because why not? It would make more sense if these were like Nintendo characters or something because my World of Nintendo cabinet right there. But I gotta do, I mean, I guess they had to go somewhere, so they kind of fit well there. If we go around here to the other side of my Game Boy Advance cabinet, we will see, I might as well point this out, my crazy board. I'm going to actually try to stand on this treadmill here so I can get a good view of this. This crazy whiteboard that hasn't been erased in like 10 years. So a lot of this stuff, I don't even remember when it was written, that people, friends and stuff coming over. I believe my friend Fabio drew these things. Head Crab, Duke Nukem, and like Tweety Bird there. This whole bunch of random things. Sometimes I'd write like high scores I got on things. Someone drew a face. But overall, it's kind of funny. And I just haven't erased it because why bother, right? I kind of like the way it looks right now anyway. So I just left it like that. Here we have my new Super Mario Bros. 2 kind of stand-up, which I really like, and also for some reason we have some Jimmy Neutron toys up there. I think I had them from like when I was a kid. I never opened them, so I found them and just hung them up just for fun, because why not? All around the room I also have t-shirts and stuff like that. So on this wall here, Japanese Super Mario shirt there, Metroid Prime, I believe 3? Yeah, Metroid Prime 3. And Pac-Man, and another Pac-Man shirt. All along there. Here, on top of my Sega Genesis and Game Boy Advance box games, we have some promotional boxes for 3DS and Pokemon Black and White, which I've always really liked. On top of the PlayStation cabinet is another Mega Man NT Warrior kind of thing. We have a puzzle in the box there. And if we back up a little bit, we can see some things up here. So we have a Game Boy Advance charger in the package. I believe I showed when I picked that up a couple months ago. I never even knew there was such a thing for the original Game Boy Advance. Like an official one anyway. I knew there was third-party things like that. Here, we have some Buzz Trivia games never opened, which are actually pretty cool. We have a junior one and the regular one. So it's kind of the package there. It comes with all 4 remotes in case you didn't have them. This thing here I showed, this is a Game Boy ROM dumper slash copier slash saver, which is pretty. I never have tried that out yet, although I definitely will need to get to that someday. I showed this in the pickup video, Roadsters, made by everyone's favorite company, who made Superman 64, so I mean, I'm not that excited to play it, so I just left it sealed in there. A Force Pack for the Nintendo 64, not official, and then some unofficial power cords and things like that. Here, we kind of have some controller covers for the NES controllers. Those are just cardboard things. There's actually not any controller in there, but it's just kind of trying to show how the case would go onto it. I have some loose ones of those, although I've never used them. And there's this Buzz Time thing, which is kind of like the Game Wave, where it's like a trivia console, so I have some extra controllers and games for that up there. If we look up at the ceiling here, we can see more of those advertisement signs. Here we have one for Donkey Kong Country Returns, and for my favorite game, The Smurfs, oh man, Walking on Sunshine. Bonus song? What? It's a bonus song inside the game, I guess. Not really sure why the game has a bonus song, but anyway. And then here, we have my New Super Mario Bros. 2, and I like New Super Mario Bros. 2 and New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I did not like New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. And I did not like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, so I'm not really sure why. Although I do admit that they do need some new ideas for the New Super Mario Bros. Games, for sure. Anyway, over here, we have a Dreamcast game. Still sealed in there, and that is 102 Dalmatians. I'm not sure if that's like an official Dreamcast plastic packaging, or if it was another company that put it inside of that, but either way, that's pretty interesting. Sealed, Dreamcast memory card for the Gamecube, some more worm lights, who can pass up worm lights for 49 cents. Adapter pack for the Game Boy Advance. Let's see what else we got up here. And more power cords for the Game Boy. Of course, car adapters are always useful. Here we have some sealed Game Wave controllers. Game Wave is like another quiz thing I was talking about not too long ago. It normally came with 4 controllers, although you can have up to 6 players. That is what this would be good for. I am a bit worried about the batteries maybe exploding one day, though. I'm not sure what I'll do about that. Here we have a PSP kind of charging speaker stand thing. Sealed, Dreamcast, Game Shark, a Sonic game for something called the Digi. I picked that up a long time ago. Like one of my very first pickup videos, I think I actually showed that. That's kind of a kids gaming console, and I don't have. Here we have one of those old video boxes that you can use to help you play Atari games. And then some weird cords, although we'll get to those in a little bit. Here on top of the Outzone arcade machine, we have a few box things like the Activator, box Gamecube that came with Mario Party 7, and one of those cool Mario Kart kind of tracks that I picked up at a Goodwill one day. These things are like $100 regularly. It's ridiculous, kind of. I should set that up one day, maybe make a video about it. It'd be kind of funny. There's DK, of course. Here is all of my Rock Band stuff. Who remembers when that was popular, like a billion years ago? And here, Mr. Potato Head and Candyland kind of portable games. My sister used to play those. Those were hers. A long time ago, obviously. So, that is what those are from. Here we have some stand-ups, Mario Golf, Toadstool, not Toadstool, Advanced Tour for the Game Boy Advance, Rayman Origins, and Sackboy. I believe that this was a promotional stand-up, yeah, for Little Big Planet 2 there. And some more Mario shirts, because Mario was awesome. We have Sonic Adventure, Sonic Rush Adventure. I liked it. I thought that was a good DS game. I thought it was more fun than the first Sonic Rush. Mario Party DS, and then some other things hanging up here on top of the pinball machine. We have some Wallace and Gromit kind of popcorn tubs from the movie. That came out quite a while ago. Up here, we have a kind of kids, like a Disney kind of console. I've never actually set that up. I really should. I got it in the box quite a while ago, although I never got it out. I mean, I did get it out, although for some reason, I think there was some reason I didn't hook it up to the TV. Although I really should get it out and try it out again. And another kids console here, the V-Smile. Oh man, I played that like every night. Here, we have the ColecoVision expansion module number 3 on the computer, which is kind of neat. It's up there. It takes up a massive amount of space. So I have it up there. Over here, we have some more things hanging up on the ceiling. We have a Princess Peach car, and also the Pokemon Pikachu 2, which is very interesting, complete in the package. If you use that, you can get points in the kind of game you play, and then you can do mystery gift with it. With your Pokemon Gold and Silver games, and depending on how many points you have in the Pokemon Pikachu 2 Gold and Silver, that determines what kind of item you will get in your actual Pokemon game. And you can even get rare candy from that if you have enough points, which is kind of cool. There we have some Hot Wheels hanging up. Some more accessories. Kenny from South Park. Some more Super Mario characters. One of the weirdest controllers I have ever seen. This is supposed to be like a quick shot pad for the NES. I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to use that. A PlayStation 2 stand. This right here is very interesting. This is a network adapter for the PlayStation 2, although it doesn't look anything like the one that I showed at the beginning of the video. That's why I always found that kind of interesting. And right here we have a Versus cable for the Dreamcast, and I have no idea how that is supposed to work. But I'd be very interested in trying it someday anyway. But yeah, I believe that is pretty much everything that I wanted to show. I just wanted to give a quick look at some of the things that I have hanging from the ceiling, because like I said, it's something people don't usually look up. And even in my room tour, I don't believe I really showed too well the things that were hanging from the ceiling. So I hope that it turned out well, and that everyone enjoyed kind of getting a quick glance at some of the things that you might not have seen before. And yeah, like I said, still working on setting up a few things like that up there, which I'll definitely make a video on someday. And I've even been arranging my PlayStation 1 cabinet a little bit nicer, so I might have to make a video on that someday, and maybe even my Gamecube one too. But before then, until then, I think that is all that we are going to do for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. Like I said, I hope it turned out well. And I hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and see you then.